here in these playoffs.
Well, the Mounties take down CCSF here.
Oh, you got to give it up to San Francisco as well. They had a phenomenal season going 11-1, and
It over to Nick Rice alongside Brian Tabajay for the festivities. The Mounties, Nick, are the 2014
First things first, I would like to congratulate the crew for deciding on Mount SAC. This is phenomenal. The Mounties are the better football team. They're the best team in the state of California, and this postseason run has been phenomenal for not only the program, but also for Coach Jastrab, who's trying his very best to send guys to the next level. This is a great feat. Obviously, City College of San Francisco, I think you were in the football game late in the fourth quarter. The Rams had all the tools necessary to come back and win, except for at the most critical position. And I think what's the killer for City College of San Francisco, listen, they were dominated in all three phases. I mean, this was a clinic in favor of the Mounties, but you still had a chance late, but you were playing with your left hand. The far more dominant quarterback for your football team is out with an injury, Anthony Rodriguez, and the backup, frankly, I think was the difference between a win, a potential closer ball game here, and a loss was the quarterback situation.
I have to agree with you. I would have loved to have seen their best against Mount SAC's best.
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. He was injured. Unfortunately for us, the fans, and the people up here in the press box, we didn't get to see the number one option at quarterback for the Rams. Peralta did his best to propel them to a victory. Unfortunately for the Rams in San Francisco, they came up 10 points short. But, you don't take away anything from what San Francisco has done all season long, which was really just plow through the northern part of the state in playing in their National Base 6 division. And, against a Mount SAC defense that really showed its true colors here, Nick. And Chris and I have gotten to see a game in and game out. Well, this Mount SAC defense
is phenomenal. It really is
phenomenal. And they made Peralta feel like a second-string quarterback. They absolutely got to him. They made him feel pressure. They rushed him out of the pocket. He was never 100% comfortable. And they really just got to him, and that was their strong point in the game because Peralta still threw under 100 yards in the game.
Yeah, it really says something for that Mount SAC defense. But furthermore, we took a look at what the North has to offer this year. Of course, Butte College were the winners of the state championship game a season ago. But you look at 2014, and I think if you can contest really any of the four playoff teams out of the North, just did not have the same caliber of talent as what the South had to provide. You take a look at what the Mounties did on both sides of the football, offensively and defensively. This was a one-sided affair. It says 27-17, but If you take a look at the drop by Gilchrist, which was a touchdown, you take a look at the Allo run into the end zone, which ended up being a touchdown for the Rams, as the fumble for Allo, which I could contest, and I'm sure an instant replay would have agreed with me. It would have been a TD for the Mounties, turned around to be a fumble recovery. You could look at a football team in the Mounties that very easily, even though they won by 10, they could have won by 34 if those plays were to go the other way.
And, that's just credit to how disciplined they are under Coach Jabs.
Mm-hmm.
And that coach is something special, along with his coaching staff as well. They do nothing but a job of phenomenal, nothing short of phenomenal job here with the Mount SAC program. They produced winners, and what they've done tonight here at Hilmer Lodge Stadium is send them out in fashion, closing this stadium out for a little renovation. It's only going to be a $62 million upgrade.
Yeah,
but
of course.
A well-deserved upgrade, as
obviously.
They continue their winning tradition here in Walnut under Coach Jabs and his wonderful staff. And, like you said, it could have been a little bit more of a high-scoring game for Mount SAC, and Chris kind of touched on how they didn't really seem that fluid as they could be on offense.
Yeah.
And thankfully, defensively,
they were up to the task.
They were just a beast today. It is plain and simple. They were just a dominant defense.
Yeah, they outmanned them on every single statistical category. For the Mount SAC Mounties, it's a nice little redemption, if you will, after last year not even making the postseason, coming back and winning it all. What does this mean for the program here for the Mount SAC Mounties? Moving forward, given that next year, due to those renovations you talked about, they're going to play in a brand new stadium.
Yeah, whether I believe it's going to be Walnut High School for another stadium. As far as next year, the scary thing about this defense, a lot of them are freshmen.
Yeah,
and
ridiculous.
More importantly, that defensive line, those D linemen and the defensive ends, they're all coming back next year. Top that off with the Tom Aveda twins at linebackers, and you top that off with, Coach Jabs did mention I think he's going to go with Simcoe for the starter next year.
Right.
And Orozco is a viable second stringer as well. Yeah, I would even flip it and say vice versa as well. But, from this program going forward, another state title here. They already recruit.
This team was good enough to win a state championship, and everybody that really was a big-time contributor in this football game outside of maybe your quarterback and a man who I think had a phenomenal day, Derek Macon. Other than that, littered with guys that will be coming back. I think this was a phenomenal win, and boy, it's somewhat of if you're a Mount SAC, it's one of those things where you expected it to happen, but it shouldn't have even really been that hard, Brian.
Yeah, we were talking to Coach Jabs earlier in the week at practice, and he said this is a resilient group of boys that really are just finding their groove with each other, and they're just gelling at the right time of the season. Those were emotional losses to Long Beach and to Riverside, because in both games they're still there for the win, and they blow the leads, double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. So,
and that spells freshman kind of new system, new scheme, kids that are in October still not ready for the big stage. Those losses, I think, paid a huge portion. My other contention is Jastrab, I think, may be the most talented coach in junior college, or at least up there among the best, but he just doesn't seem, maybe it's his persona, doesn't seem to always make things easy, does he?
No, and they lost those, excuse me, they lost those two games.
Sloppy football.
Yeah. Penalties. I remember a couple games, Chris and I called, there were 18 penalties in a game committed by Mount SAC. Things like that, to where it's all about execution. It's just like taking care of the football.
Right.
Take care of the football, you have a good chance of winning the game. Execution, you have a good chance of winning the game. And I'm looking at the stat sheets right now. They only committed 5 penalties in the game as compared to 10 for San Francisco, albeit that's not the
I will say that
extreme.
a majority of those 10, I know San Francisco would love to have some of those mistakes back, but a few of those penalties, I don't think it's mistakes. It's more Mount SAC was so good that really they had no option either to hold or to give up a sack.
And that proved to be on one of the holding calls is, you have Paleo, I believe it was, who came right up the gut, and it was pretty much a free shot at Peralta.
Yeah.
And the offensive line had no choice but to commit the hold. And that just proves to be how influential their defensive line can be on opposing offenses.
That is a powerful defense. And furthermore, guys that are pursuing the quarterback, they're getting a 2, 3, 4 leg head start. I mean, I see guys on that defense sprinting to the ball because they are anticipating that snap and trailing by 10 on the road. San Francisco really had no option of that. And you take a look at Mount SAC. Team preview for next year. What are the Mounties going to look like offensively?
Offensively, well, you have a lot of weapons that are going to be gone, and that being Justin Allo, the quarterback, Christopher Gilchrist, Derek Macon, Amaris Tolbert. Those are big shoes to fill. And right now, Kennedy Sykes, I would say, will probably be their number 1, if not number 2 receiver. Stands at 6 foot 200 pounds right here out of Lakewood. You look at the running backs.
You do look at guys, receiver-wise, guys that didn't even really suit up for this state championship, or at least did not step on the field in a large capacity, will be starting for Mount SAC. Given they don't get transfers, I'm sure they will. But boy, in other positions, they got that thing covered.
Oh, yeah. And touching back on the receiving core, Isaiah Manley as well. He's also a freshman that'll be back next season. And like we said, the Tamaveda Twins defensively will be back. The big thing is the Roscoe or Simcoe start for Coach Jabs at quarterback. And you still have, viable weapons up and down that roster that will come back. And for the most part, it's on the defensive side. But you look at some of these guys that are coming back offensively, and it's just, they recruit well for a reason, and people want to come here for a reason.
Yeah.
Is because they're so solidified on both ends of the ball year in and year out that they can appeal more to people. And they're appealing to guys from out of state, which is,
it's phenomenal.
You play other teams like a Riverside or a Long Beach or Citrus.
El Camino obviously got some guys coming from there.
And we had Tolbert transfer from Orange Coast as well. And, it's majority of Mount SAC's competition is recruiting locally. What Mount SAC is awesome at doing is recruiting out of state.
And even out of the nation, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Is that a testament to Coach Bob Jastrab, where I think maybe one of the better junior college defensive coordinators in the business, and your own Mountie D coordinator?
Yeah.
I have no clue what the name is.
the defensive coordinator for excuse me. Defensive coordinator,
I mean, we're going on about Mount SAC for a reason, because this team next year very easily can do what it did in, I think it was 2009 and 2010, back-to-back state championships. And this is a man in Coach Bob Jastrab. Listen, I covered Riverside City College. Doesn't have the same regular season resume, if you will, but the man is 22-4